Hello and welcome back to Football Daily. A quick disclaimer, this script was written prior to the semi-finals kicking off, but here is our definitive rundown of the best 11 at the 22nd FIFA World Cup. Let's get into it. Goalkeeper, Wojciech Szczesny. For once, we don't want FIFA to focus solely on players that made the semi-finals and final when making their team at the tournament, and there can be no doubt about it, Poland's Wojciech Szczesny deserves the Golden Glove. The award given to the world's best goalkeeper was first introduced in 1994 as the Lev Yashin Award, before being renamed in 2010. And although 5 of the 7 recipients have reached the final, we can't help thinking that it should go to Juventus' Szczesny this time around. Whilst Poland might have been dumped out of the competition at the last 16 phase, after finally putting in a performance worthy of the name against France, their number 1 was almost faultless throughout the tournament. He faced 28 shots, the most in the competition, yet only conceded 5 goals. A tally topped by 8 goalkeepers knocked out prior to the quarter-finals. What's more, he prevented 2.8 expected goals, a figure topped only by Croatia's Livakovic, but his 2 penalty saves moves him ahead of his Croat counterpart in our reckoning. With the likes of Lewandowski and Zielinski underperforming, Szczesny was the shining light of a dull Poland side. Right back, Achraf Hakimi. Before we go any further, we want to make clear that the Netherlands' Denzel Dumfries also had an excellent tournament, and arguably put in the best performance of any fullback in this World Cup in the last 16 against the USA, finishing with 2 assists and a goal to his name. But it would be remiss of us not to include at least one Morocco player, after they finished ahead of Belgium and Croatia, before knocking out Spain and Portugal to become the first African side to make the World Cup semi-finals. Crucial to that run was Achraf Hakimi. Clearly energised by his first World Cup, the 24-year-old completed a massive 26 tackles and interceptions, the most of any player in the competition, whilst also completing the most passes and passes into the final third in the Morocco squad. He may have only finished with 1 assist to his name, but don't be fooled, Hakimi was excellent. Centre-back, Josko Gvardiol. When Josko Gvardiol was linked with an €87 million move to Chelsea towards the end of the summer window, a lot of onlookers balked at the fee. How could a 20-year-old centre-back possibly be worth the 3rd largest fee ever paid for a defender? But they aren't questioning it now. After an injury-hit start to the 22-23 Bundesliga campaign, something which definitely affected RB Leipzig's form, since linking up with the national team, Gvardiol has been nothing short of superb, playing alongside the more experienced Dejan Lovren. Croatia have definitely ridden their luck at times, conceding 7.5 XG against, one more than any other side that reached at least the quarter-finals, and Livakovic has also been excellent, but Gvardiol has at times felt like a one-man wall in front of him. No player can top his 32 clearances at the time of writing, and only Timber can better his 8 interceptions amongst centre-backs. Labelled the best centre-back in the world by his manager Zlatko Dalic, on current form it's difficult to argue with. Centre-back, Nicolas Otamendi. Whilst John Stones was near faultless again for England and Spain's Rodri excelled out of position for a Spain side let down by their forwards, we've chosen Nicolas Otamendi alongside Gvardiol. When Lionel Scaloni named his starting 11 for Argentina's opening game against Saudi Arabia, Twitter let out a collective groan and complained about Lisandro Martinez exclusion ahead of the 34-year-old veteran. But what they failed to realise is that the Benfica star is Scaloni's man, having been capped 38 times since 2019 and is fast approaching 100 caps for his country, and will become the 8th Albiceleste star to reach that tally. Whilst a clearly unfit Romero struggled in their shock defeat to Saudi Arabia, Otamendi has been Argentina's rock, leading his side for tackles and interceptions, clearances and winning double the number of aerial duels. This has helped Argentina concede just 1.9 expected goals after 5 games, the best record in the competition. Left back, Daley Blind. Whilst Theo Hernandez definitely deserves credit for grabbing an assist against both Australia and Denmark, we prefer to shine a light on someone who isn't considered amongst the best left backs in the world. In fact, a player who many thought might be a weak link in their lineup, the Netherlands' Daley Blind. 5.5 years on from being sold by Jose Mourinho, 32-year-old Blind has proved a masterstroke of a signing by Ajax, averaging just under 43 games per season in the last 4 completed campaigns. It's the 32-year-old's passing range that has really stood out in Amsterdam, and it's been the same in Qatar, with Shaw, Rodri, Alba and Stones the only defenders to top his 21 progressive passes. This has given him an expected goal and assist per 90 ratio of 0.18, the same as Orange star player Cody Gakpo, showing just how useful Blind was to his former Man United manager Louis van Gaal. A penalty shootout away from their 3rd World Cup semi-final in their last 3 tournaments, Blind's competition ultimately ended in disappointment, but he can be proud of his 2 goal contributions in Qatar. Central midfield, Sofian Amrabat. Every 4 years there is a World Cup star that emerges that no one expected. In 2014 it was Keylor Navas, in 2018 Denis Cheryshev, and this year it has been Sofiane Amrabat, who bettered the aforementioned duo by leading Morocco to the last 4. To say no one saw it coming would be an understatement. The 26-year-old defensive midfielder may have been a constant presence in the Atlas Lions side since 2017, winning 44 caps to date, but his performances at club level throughout his career are nothing to write home about. He lasted 1 season at Feyenoord and Club Brugge before being loaned to Hellas Verona, and then joined Fiorentina in January 2020. Over the last 365 days, his form in Serie A season rank in the bottom 50% of midfielders for tackles, interceptions, blocks and clearances. But after just 14 minutes of World Cup action in Russia, he has revelled in the increased responsibility this time around. Despite playing with injections in the knockout stages, only 4 players have completed more than his 19 tackles and interceptions, helping his side concede 1 goal in 5 games up to the semi-finals, an own goal against Canada. Almost certain to get a move after the World Cup, Amrabat more than deserves his spot in R11. Central midfield, Jude Bellingham. Michael Owen in 1998, Wayne Rooney in 2004, you can add Jude Bellingham to the list of young English stars that have taken an international football tournament by storm. Having performed so brilliantly for Borussia Dortmund, contributing 5 goals in 5 games in this year's Champions League, it wasn't entirely unexpected. But after just 55 minutes in last summer's Euros, this was his breakout tournament. A goal and an assist in 5 games, he was the driving force behind England's run to the quarter-finals, completing 16 tackles, 9 more than anyone else in the Three Lions squad, and completing 6 dribbles, 1 more than next best Marcus Rashford. With England having scored 13 goals, their best ever World Cup return, averaged 65% possession, 3rd best in the competition, and completed 88% of their passes, a figure topped only by Spain, Southgate answered questions around England's ability to play front-foot attacking football on the world stage. A penalty kick away from taking the world champions to extra time, Southgate and Bellingham can be proud of their efforts. Central midfield, Bruno Fernandes. We feel terrible for not including Antoine Griezmann in this list, especially given the Atletico Madrid forward created the most chances in the competition to date and showed a level of game intelligence we didn't know he possessed, fulfilling his defensive duties in a midfield role for France. But having included him in our shock stars of the 2022 World Cup video over on Eurofootball Daily, we wanted to shout out Bruno Fernandes, who was quite simply sensational for Portugal. With just 3 goal contributions in 13 league games going into the World Cup, the former Sporting CP star seemed to be struggling to recapture his form from his early days at Old Trafford, but he's put that aside to star for Portugal, with 2 goals and 3 assists in his first 4 World Cup games, with Mbappe and Messi the only players to be involved in more at the time of writing. With Cristiano Ronaldo playing an increasingly peripheral role, Bruno has revelled in his status within the side, taking on an increased creative burden. He's currently averaging 0.43 expected assists per 90, 0.15 more than his record at United this season, and a tally topped only by Matoma, Sibiri, Atiat Allah, Dembele and Lucas Paqueta of players to make the knockouts. Leading aside for chances created, progressive passes and blocks, Bruno is essential to Portugal's best World Cup run since 2006. Right wing, Lionel Messi. The pressure on Lionel Messi going into this World Cup was unlike anyone else. Sure, Portuguese fans dreamt of Ronaldo bringing home their first World Cup, but with their star a clearly fading force, that always seemed unlikely. And even Neymar, Brazil's great hope, wasn't under the same scrutiny as Messi. With the Seleção having won their most recent title 20 years ago, nothing compared to Argentina's 36-year wait. Fully aware that this is in all likelihood Messi's final World Cup, the Albiceleste faithful, who have endured a tricky relationship with their number 10 over the years, were expecting Messi to fulfill Maradona's legacy and secure that 3rd star for their famous blue and white strip. Everyone knew how perilous Argentina's position was midway through their 2nd game against Mexico, but with that arrowed shot into the bottom corner, Messi gave Argentina life. With 4 goals and 2 assists in 5 games to date, not to mention 22 shots, joint best with Mbappe, and 16 key passes, level with Griezmann as the best in the competition, it's clear that Argentina's talisman is doing everything in his power to keep their chances alive. Striker, Olivier Giroud. Richarlison was excellent, scoring 2 goal of the tournament contenders, Morata and Hakpo had their moments, and Gonzalo Ramos arguably put in the performance of the tournament against Switzerland. But for defying Father Time once again, we have to include Olivier Giroud. Given the injuries and off-field distractions, very few people gave France much hope of breaking the curse of the former champions in Qatar. And whilst they haven't always been perfect, with a much-changed side putting in a shocking performance against Tunisia, and then riding their luck against England to make the semi-finals, Deschamps' side have arguably been the most complete side in the competition to date. A big part of that is down to Olivier Giroud, who has had a tournament to remember. 2 goals against Australia drew him level with Thierry Henry as France's all-time top scorer, a record that he subsequently broke against Poland, and when he headed home what proved to be the winner against England, he further etched his name into French football folklore. Operating at 0.88 expected goals per 90, a figure topped only by Rashford, Neymar and Gonzalo Ramos in the competition, 36-year-old Giroud saved the best run of his career for when it mattered most. What a legend. Left wing, Kylian Mbappe. What more is there to say about this guy? 9 World Cup goals now in just 11 games, a tally topped by 13 players in the history of the game. Of those 13 players, all but 4 of them, Jos Fontaine, Sandor Kocsis, Helmut Rahn and Gary Lineker, played in at least 3 tournaments. The accolades keep coming. The second teenager after Pelé to score in a World Cup final, he became the youngest player to score 9 World Cup goals, once again breaking the previous record set by the Brazilian icon. He is now tied with Lionel Messi and has moved ahead of Cristiano Ronaldo in the list of all-time top scorers. Whilst only 3 players who played in a World Cup this century, closer R9 and Thomas Müller have scored more than him. Currently operating at 0.9 expected goals and assists per 90, a tally topped only by Messi of players still in the competition, Mbappe has once again saved his best form for the biggest stage. Everyone who worried for years about how the football world would move on from Messi and Ronaldo needn't have worried. The game is in safe hands. So guys, that was our best 11 of this year's World Cup. What did you guys think of the list? What were you most angry about? Let me know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to Football Daily, and I'll catch you next time.